Well, welcome to everybody. My name is Susan Hannawalt, and I'm with the League of Women Voters of Washington County. We're very happy to be working with the American Democracy Project and Mel Bloomberg here at California University to put on this production this evening. We both have the same goal. The League of Women Voters and the American Democracy Project want to engage citizens in their civic life. We want you to register to vote. We want you to vote. We want you to be a participant, not an observer. Our forum tonight is not a debate. It is a conversation where we give you the chance to hear directly from these folks who are running for office to represent you in Harrisburg. Our goal is for you to ask them questions, and hopefully you'll hear the right answers that you want from one of them. And we very much appreciate the participation of California University TV in taping the event and showing it. So if anybody has missed it, you'll be able to tell them to watch it on the TV. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates. These are the candidates for the 49th District, Pennsylvania State House seat. And they are seated in ballot order. The first 6 are the Democrats, and the last one on this side is the Republican, and there is one other Republican who was not able to be here tonight, and I'll just mention her name at that time. First of all, Alan Benyak.
Sorry to interrupt. We've got the provost here to introduce me, so that's the first thing on the agenda, okay?
Okay, where is he?
He's right here.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't realize that. We're going to have an introduction by the provost. Sorry about that.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bruce Barnhart. I'm the acting provost and vice president for academic affairs here at California University of Pennsylvania. And on behalf of University President Geraldine M. Jones and everyone at California University of PA, I want to welcome the League of Women Voters of Washington County, the candidates for Pennsylvania's House District 49 seat, and all of our guests to this important event. A special thank you to Ms. Judy Hughes, the League President, and League members, as well as Mel Bloomberg and the American Democracy Project, for choosing tonight's forum to be here at California University of Pennsylvania. So I want to wish all the candidates best of luck tonight, and thank you again for your attendance.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to give you the names of the candidates, and then we'll start the introductory statements in just a moment. First on the ballot is Alan Benyak, Brendan Garay, Robert Kepex, Mark Alterisi. Excuse me.
That's fine, thank you.
Don Henderson, Randy Barley, and Donald Bud Cook.
Bud Cook, thank you.
No Donald?
No, Donald.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now we'll start the introductory statements where they're going to have a minute and a half to tell you who they are. Mr. Benyak.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Alan Benyak, and I am a Democrat candidate for the General Assembly in the 49th Legislative District. And I am honored to be here at California University, and I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and also the Vice President Barnhart for hosting this event. My decision to run for General Assembly was not something I did lightly. I actually took many days to decide to do this and felt that I was answering a calling that I had to represent this particular district. I am 52 years old. I'm an attorney and have been an attorney since 1988. I'm a graduate of Waynesburg University and also Capital University Law School. I am a veteran. I was a captain in the Army Judge Advocate General's Corps and was also promoted to major. I feel this is an important race to decide who's going to represent this unique district that is very large land-wise and has a unique population. I feel I am the son, grandson of steelworkers. My mother was a secretary. I have a hearty respect for working people and senior citizens, and I intend to represent our values and our positions in Harrisburg. And I appreciate everyone being here tonight and the opportunity for you to hear from all of us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garay.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and my alma mater here at California University. I'm running for the Pennsylvania State House of Representatives to disprove the notion that legislators are any better than the average taxpayer here in the room today. We've been electing the people we know for many years now, and where has that gotten us? Failed budget practices and gimmicks, cuts to education, and a budget impasse with no end in sight. It's time for that to change, and it's time to give the people of the 49th District what they deserve. I'm ready to go to work for you and dedicate 100% of my time to serving you in Harrisburg. The legislator is currently so much more beholden to the wealthy donors than they are the middle class, and that needs to change. We need to restore the cuts to education that we've been suffering. We need the property tax relief we've been promising for so long, and we need a fair and balanced budget for our long-term future. I am a graduate here of California University. I'm pursuing my master's degree in the business program here. I've served 2 years as student government president here, and I am looking to take the next step and serve the people of the 49th District at the state level.
Thank you. Mr. Kevix.
I want to thank all the voters here tonight that showed up. Also, I want to thank the League of Voters that are hosting this. I am Bob Kepix, currently the mayor of Monongahela. I've been mayor for 8 years in Monongahela, and I feel I can take this to even a higher level to the legislature district of the 49th. I want to try to bring some jobs back to this area, which we're lacking right now. I want to try to obtain monies for the distressed areas that we're having as far as the blighted areas all through the 49th. I want to try to redevelop the river area as far as the property along the river is for recreational and commercial use. And I want to try to do stronger legislation for as far as drugs, the drug lords that are out there, try to put them in jail for a longer period of time so we don't have the heroin problem that we're having right at the moment. And also I want to try to do a better statute as far as the pharmaceutical for the seniors right now. They're struggling to get their medicine. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alterisi.
I was going to try and take the microphone off, but I'm a little bit shorter, so it's hard for me to, everyone can see me. I'm Mark Alterisi. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. It's great to see a crowd like this. I've been to these events before, and this is one of the best events I've ever seen for this. So I want to congratulate the League of Women Voters and California University, which I also was a graduate of many years ago, and the campus looked totally different than it does today. I also took my chance to run for this position very seriously. When I was first asked to run, I thought about it, and I realized I bring a unique perspective to this. As a business owner with multiple businesses, I have 3 businesses in Washington County. I took over a family business from my father. We've been established in business since 1938, so I have the business perspective. But I also have the perspective of being involved in the community. I've spent virtually my entire adult life working in the community as a volunteer for many things, but not just serving on boards, but in leadership positions, and that's why I think I'd be good here. I spent 20 years serving on Charlevoix Borough Council, 8 as president. I spent 4 years as Tri-County Borough Association president, which is 4 years is the maximum you're allowed. I've also currently chairman of the Community Park Board of Trustees, very involved with trying to do things for the youth of the community, which I'm very, very strong advocate of. And finally, I'm currently chairman of the Washington County Tourism Board. These things put me in a position with large budgets. Currently a $1.6 million budget I'm involved with the Washington County Tourism Board. When I was president of Borough Council, we were involved with a $1.8 million budget. And the last thing I'm going to say real quickly on it, I did those things, but only because I had a good team around me. So I'm not taking total credit for any of that. All I'm saying is we need people to work together, and that's why I feel I'd be good in Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson.
Good evening, and thank you all so much for coming tonight. It's great to see so many smiling faces interested in local government. My name is Don Henderson. I'm here to ask for a promotion tonight, and a promotion from my lifetime of service to the community to become your state representative and take the initiatives and ideas and hard work that I've been doing at the local level to Harrisburg and to work for you to make our community and our district a better place to live. I am a 2-term township supervisor, served 12 years in Fallonfield Township. I was also a borough manager in Charleroi. I was twice a Main Street manager, both in Irwin and Charleroi, working on business development, recruiting businesses, and working to develop incentives for businesses. I was also president of the United Way, president of the Mon Valley Initiative, which is a conglomerate of some 20 communities working to improve the region. I've also served as president of Lions Club, so I've been involved in the community in a number of issues, served on the County Redevelopment Authority as appointed by the commissioners, the County Tourism Board, and many others. So tonight, we're going to find out a little bit about all of us, and I hope you will take the time to find out about me and my website or my Facebook page or Twitter to find out all the other qualifications I feel make me the best candidate for the job. And in case I forget later, I respectfully request your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barley.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for this opportunity, the college, the League of Women Voters. It's an honor to be here. I've been a lifelong resident in this area for about, well, most of my life except for 14 years. Penn State graduate, associate degree up there. I got a job in Washington, D.C., handled an awful lot of money, federal contracts. That's where I think I really got the idea to run for office, because I saw how people handled your money. And it was really simple to keep track of that, and they just didn't do it because they were you read about it in the paper an awful lot. So that contract that I had down there was the traffic signalization of Washington, D.C. That was about $1.5 million a month. And that started the division. That's where I get that's where all my business things really hit ahead as far as finances go. What I see in Harrisburg, what I have seen, is what we all see, this stalemate, a gridlock over money. And I see my time's up, so I hope to solve that problem for you, because I have the qualifications to do that, and I have some stuff out there that you can read.
Thank you. Mr. Cook.
I'd like to welcome everybody here and thank you, but I'm sort of big on audience participation. And I want to ask you a question tonight. Practice makes what? Practice makes, what if you're practicing it wrong? I am a business person interviewing for a public servant position. For far too long in our region, we have lacked leadership and we have lacked a plan. I graduated from California Area High School in '74, left to go to West Virginia Wesleyan, '78 graduated, and traveled around the country until 1990 when I moved back for family reasons. For the next 15 to 20 years, I spent an hour a day in and an hour a day back from Pittsburgh, in and out, pursuing my position. I started paying attention right around 2005. There's a resume out there with information of all my experiences. Main Street, city council member, running a $17 million convenience store chain at 28. I have the resume to make it happen here in the Valley. I am interviewing for the job, not running for it.
Thank you. I would say that 70% of the questions that I'm getting are on the budget issue, the gridlock in Harrisburg. What would be something that you would suggest to address this issue if you are elected to the state legislature? And we'll start with Mr. Garay.
The budget impasse has affected so many things across the state, including students here at this university and many other universities across the Commonwealth. There are students that couldn't come back to school that I know. It's just a terrible way of leadership that we're seeing in Harrisburg. If elected, I will go to Harrisburg with a fresh set of eyes, some new ideas, and sit down at a table, Democrat or Republican, and hammer out a deal. Now, in a deal, I mean a compromise. We need to compromise a little bit on each end, and I understand that people want to stand strong for what they believe in, but we need to sit down at a table. We should be able to, as grown adults, we should be able to sit down at a table, come to an agreement on something. This past 5 years have been full of budget gimmicks and failed practices. We need to get back to basics, get a long-term budget plan for our future. work together for that, and stick to that plan. It is in the best interest of our students, our state employees, and everyone across the Commonwealth. So we need to get back to basics, sit down at a table, get together, and figure out a plan.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix.
Our budget is totally out of control right now. It's a gridlock. We have schools closing. It's a shame. The legislatures out there need to get their head on. I mean, we're not moving ahead any further. If I was elected as legislature, I would come in with other ideas also to try to bring down our taxes, our property taxes, and also try to come to agreement with the Republicans so we can move ahead.
Mr. El-Terisi.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I kind of expected this to be a hot topic, and so it should be. First of all, I think we all agree on something that need to get along better. That's where it all starts. It's communication. It can't be Democrats versus Republicans. We all have to be on the same page. This is where I feel very comfortable, actually, hopefully going to Harrisburg and get a chance to represent you. I've done this throughout my entire life. I have one example, because I'm big on giving examples on things. When I first got on council, I went through a similar situation where we had a situation with a local union 205 that there was a contract impasse. We decided between several of us on council and the union reps that we went to one of the local hotels. We locked ourselves in the room, locked the door, and agreed we weren't coming out of there until we had a contract, and we did. And that's what you need to do. Instead of taking breaks, coming home, they need to buckle down, get this solved, and quit playing around with it. Our kids' futures are at stake here, and they need to pay attention to this. The education system is going to fall apart because we have kids with high schools. Shaw was talking about possibly May 1st closing down. This has to stop, and they need to get together and start putting our kids first. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson.
Thank you very much. This is kind of insanity, isn't it? It's just crazy what's going on out there right now. And if you look at it, you know, it goes back to a deeper problem, and that is why people have secure districts and then gerrymandering of districts so that nobody's afraid about losing their job. So they don't care about what you're dealing with at the local level because everybody keeps their job. We've gerrymandered the district so much that everybody gets to keep their job no matter how much torture they put you or the people at the local level through. I agree with some of the people here that it takes leadership. You're going to have consequences, though. I think the legislators should be held with consequences. Should they get paid while everybody else is suffering? Probably not. But they circumvent that by passing a budget and make sure they get paid. Should they get per diems while the budget impasse is going on? They're still getting their per diems. Isn't that amazing? Amazing that they can get paid to go out there while they can't even get funding for our schools. So we really have to take a different approach on how we deal with this whole situation with the budget. We need to make sure that we deal with it in a professional, compromising manner, like we had a compromise and somebody pulled out of that compromise and we had a budget that could have passed had we had the compromise and moved the compromise forward instead of one person stopping it.
Thank you. Mr. Barley, the budget.
Well,
You need to keep it close enough.
oh, okay. Well, the first thing, you have to understand what's going on there and who's the players. I think we all pretty well know that. They can't agree. So there has to be a reason for that. If you've ever seen people that, if you take a closer look to the people that are actually dealing with your money, actually dealing out the cards, you'll see that there's a pattern, personality involved. Because if it was their money, it would be a different tune. I mean, if it was coming out of their U.S. Treasury, out of their Pennsylvania bank account, it would be a different story. Now, civic duty is what I'm getting to. You know, there was one time in my life that I was on the way to vote, and I thought about not voting. And I said, what's the use? And I almost turned around. But I went and voted anyway. Now, civic duty, that's why I voted anyway, because this is a civic job.
Mr. Cook.
Thank you.
I'd like to share with you what you see when you go door to door in the valley. You see, first of all, an American flag or a service flag. You see some type of Virgin Mary or a religious symbol, and you usually see an NRA sticker on the door. We are basically conservative. We are representatives of the people. I can tell you the people that I've spoken with and talked to live within their means. Throwing money is not always the answer to a problem. And part of that impasse is a can that got kicked down the road for years and years and years. Lack of leadership. At some point, somebody has to tell everybody what they need to hear as opposed to what they want to hear. We have to live within that means. We can't keep promising everything. Everybody up here is familiar with the WHAM money. WHAM money went away a long time ago. You just can't keep doling it out. At some point, reality has to set in, and you have to do a rational budget, and you have to do that through compromise.
Mr. Benyak.
I think gridlock is going to continue in Harrisburg as long as we continue to elect extreme candidates on both sides. I think anyone going to Harrisburg has to go there with an open mind, listen, and also respect the people that represent different views than themselves. Specifically, what would I do to try to change this? Introduce legislation. This is all backwards. If the budget's not passed by June 30th, then the General Assembly, both the House and the Senate, and the governor's office simply, they don't get paid. While we continue to fund school districts and social service agencies at their current prior fiscal year level. That's what I intend to do. I will go through with that, may not win, but I promise you here, I intend to introduce legislation to that effect so the roles are reversed. So staffers who aren't getting paid are actually going to get to the table a little more quickly and do a compromise. Unfortunately, we have some very wealthy people in Harrisburg, in the Senate and also in the governor's mansion. But when you have a staff of your House and your Senate and they're not getting paid, they're going to take things a little more seriously.
Thank you. For the next question, we're going to start with Mr. Kepix. I'd like to, now that we've heard your overall feeling about the budget or reaction to the budget impasse, now I'd like to pick apart some of the specifics of the budget. Why not a severance tax?
What's that, ma'am?
Why not have a severance tax on the gas?
Well,
Most states have it.
I think we should have a severance, I think we should have a severance tax on the gas, but wait till they get established here, because if not, you're going to run them out of here, and we're going to lose jobs. I mean, the losing jobs is not going to solve the problem, but I think we should still have a severance tax once they get established. Right now, they're still not established, a lot of them. And once they get established, then, yeah, there should be tax on them, but let's get them established first.
Mr. Alterisi.
This is one where we're definitely going to disagree. I am not in favor of the severance tax. Currently, the Marcellus Shale growers are paying approximately 7%. The severance tax would be approximately another 5%. It would be by far the highest in the country. It would not take much for them to cap these wells, take these good-paying jobs, and take them to another state until we lower that tax. I truly feel that the 7% is paying a fair share, especially the local communities. If you go to a severance tax, a lot of that money is being sent to our local communities will then be sent into the general budget. The local communities that are providing the jobs, local good-paying jobs, and also having to deal with the infrastructure problems with the heavy trucks need that income. Serving on council for as long as I did, I know that Act 13 money meant a lot to us, and boroughs would not be able to survive without it. So the severance tax, in my opinion, would do nothing but chase the Marcellus people away from this area. Thank you.
Mr. Henderson.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is we have to find other revenue sources, folks. We can't live with not finding other revenue sources. Is it the severance tax? It may very well be. And down the road, as the prices of gas come up and the prices of fuel start to rise and the activity gets higher, I am for a severance tax. Because you do realize that you think they're going to absorb the severance tax? It's going to come out of their corporate profits? They're going to pass it along to the consumer. But 70% of the gas being produced in this state isn't being used by the consumers in this state. It's going to be passed on to people all over this country, not just the people in Pennsylvania. And if it comes down to taxing a lady on her property that's had her property for 75 years and hasn't had a kid in school for 40 years versus putting a severance tax in place, I'm for putting a severance tax in place.
Mr. Barley, the severance tax.
Yes, I'd have to look at this a lot more in depth, because I'm against taxes. I think that taxes are the easy way out. That's why it has to be looked at fine tooth, you know, because that's the easy way out that I have seen. You know, well, we need money. Well, let's just tax the people, you know. Why don't they have the initiative, Republican, Democrat alike, to get out there and get some business into our area? Period. I mean, 2000, whenever they were talking about gambling, okay, now they call us a tourism state because of gambling. Well, hey, I know the family structure is shot. We all know that. That's the first thing that was hit, the family structure. Everyone either knows or has somebody in their family that's divorced, domestic abuse, something. Why aren't they out there going after Disney or something like that, family-based businesses? I have to agree that we need more industry, just like if you can't pay your bills, you go get a second job.
Okay, Mr. Cook, the severance tax.
Those familiar with Act 13, there's a little clause in there that if any severance tax comes into place, that Act 13 money goes away to the local municipalities. So from a very selfish reason, for our region, a severance tax doesn't work because that Act 13 money goes away. It goes into the big hole Harrisburg, and then it heads back to the ends of the state. I'm sorry, that's the reality. Here's another reality. We're not just competing in the state of Pennsylvania. We are competing globally. And I can tell you, in business, when you start layering, anybody ever look at their cell phone bill at the end of the month? You talk about getting pecked to death by a duck. It's line after line after line after line. Okay? Again, where's the cuts? Where's the efficiency? Where's the accountability in government spending? Do you realize that there's $30 million unaccounted for right now of Act 13 money? If you were missing $30 million, I bet you'd find it.
Mr. Benyak.
The 49th district is a fossil fuel district. We are ground zero for the shale industry and also for coal. I would be absolutely opposed to a severance tax. I've made that very clear because it does impact our Act 13 monies that we would receive. We are bearing the brunt of this industry, so we need that money to go to our townships who may not be using it quite the way we would want, but they does go back there for them, hopefully as lay people, to administer it as they see fit and appropriate for their townships, because we are bearing this burden. You have to take the good with the bad, and we should be welcoming Range Resources and Rice Energy here, but you have to accept the bad and the good with this particular industry that we have here. And we are fortunate to have him there after years of the decline of the steel industry. It is important that we keep the Act 13 money, and certainly if I go to Harrisburg, I will never be voting for a severance tax.
Okay. Mr. Garay.
I support a severance tax. Many other states pay this tax. It's the fair share. I believe that Pennsylvania is not exempt from paying their fair share. This money can go back to funding at the state level, funding education at the state level that we've been cutting for so many years. Funding education at the state level was important for many reasons, including giving the property tax relief we've been promising for so long. So yes, I would be in support of a severance tax. I think it is fair. I think it is what is right. And I think it will help us get a fair and balanced budget.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Mr. Altarisi. Well, let's consider the sales tax. How about a higher sales tax?
I like that one, actually. I'm well aware that's on the back burner. I'm assuming you're referring to raising the 1%, the additional
Yes.
1% for the going to 7%. And that would possibly lead to a reduction or potential elimination of property tax. A lot of people get afraid of it when you hear the 7%, but it will not include the staples, your food, your clothing. It's something we consider. Those are the type of things we should look at doing versus going after taxing an industry that's already giving us good jobs, referring back to the severance tax. We have a lot of people, and again, using Shar as an example for us, we're approximately 52 or 53% rental properties, the rest in home ownership. We need people to be able to afford homes. Property taxes and high property taxes are one of the reasons that people have trouble being able to afford homes. If you can afford your home, naturally people who own the home are going to take better care of them. So that's something that I think we should really consider looking at. I would have no objection to looking at, with obviously some tweaks involved with it, but I think it's something we need to consider for down the road for the good of all, and helping people, the seniors especially, they can't afford the high property taxes they're paying presently. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson.
Because my answer will be short to the sales tax, I'll just go back to the Act 13 money very quickly, and that is any new legislation that would, in a severance tax, would include money for local municipalities. Everybody up here knows that. We're not going to cut off local municipalities with the new legislation. And as Bud pointed out, the Act 13 money is a system that he himself says $30 million are missing from. So why do we want to keep that system accurately in place the way it is now? So I think that we need to look at the whole way we're distributing that money. And as far as the sales tax goes, nothing is off the table, I don't think. But I want to look at what we're going to use that sales tax money for before I say I'm in favor of a sales tax. Where is it going to go? As part of an entire package, I want to know what the entire package is for before I start singling out that I'm not for this or for that. Well, I want to know what the whole package is and where the working people of this district are going to end up when all is said and done on any increases.
Thank you. Mr. Barley, the sales tax increase.
Well, again, I disagree with taxes, but I'll clarify myself on the last one with this. You know, apparently we're in a crisis. You know, the school districts, I just saw on TV, I was wondering whether California sent anybody to Harrisburg. But Pitt is sending 2 busloads of students down there to Harrisburg today. They're probably finishing up right now to try to do something. But apparently we're in a crisis. I've already looked at some areas where some of this money is going that I totally disagree with. I mean, if you see the benefits that your elected officials get, you would probably have the same exasperation that I did when I first had it. And if anyone's interested, I have a topic with me. I brought some hardcore evidence to that fact, and it involves the gambling industry. So I can only imagine, like some of these gentlemen have said, you know, wonder where the money's going. Well, I know where some of it's going, and if I'd have been younger, I'd have probably got highly upset. So you younger people out here, if you're Pennsylvanians, and just like our seniors, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cook.
One of the saddest experiences that I had the last time I ran was talking to an 86 and 87-year-old senior citizens trying to figure out how they were going to pay their property taxes to keep their house. In Pennsylvania, the way it's structured right now, you can never outright own your property. That has to change. House Bill 76 right now is a trade-off where you have an increase in the sales tax and some other things. It's not a tax increase, it's a tax transfer. For once, finally, we could take care of our senior citizens where they could outright own their home and never worry about it again. Listen, when we passed the casino money, how many years ago, guys? The property tax was going away. Anybody's property tax go away? Okay, so that House Bill 76 is an answer. It's a wash as far as taxes go, and it finally, once and for all, addresses the largest concern of our senior citizens in the district.
Thank you. Mr. Benyak?
I would support a higher sales tax only if it went to property tax reform. This is the most important issue in this district because we really do have people losing their houses, can't afford the business properties that they have. And it really is, as Mr. Cook said, we are shifting taxes from a regressive tax to someone's ability to pay. And it can be done, and it was House Bill 76 and Senate Bill 76. I would have voted for it. I intend to vote for it in the next assembly if I am there, because we cannot continue to tax our seniors out of their homes and our business people that can no longer afford these structures. It doesn't totally do away with your property tax. It would actually, if it's implemented, would reduce it by about 82 to 92%, because you will still have property taxes there for the school districts to pay off the debts that they've already incurred. I'm all for the sales tax, only in that situation to reduce property taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Garay?
I'd have to agree with Mr. Benyak on a lot of points he made there. I'd be open to a sales tax increase if only the money was spent wisely. I'd have to see the entire tax plan. Every one of these bills does have a tax plan. You need to go see where that money's going and what it's being used for. Everyone hears higher taxes and you say, whoa, hit the brakes. You don't want to just put higher taxes to generate revenue. You got to show where that revenue is going to go. If that revenue goes to property tax relief, as I've said before, I'm very strong in giving property tax relief. It's a very big issue in this area. So if the sales tax would be increased to give property tax relief, I would be in support, but only for that reason.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix?
Oh, sorry.
Presently, I think if it wasn't for the property tax, I would also agree with the rest of these gentlemen here. It would be beneficial for people, especially the seniors, because the seniors are struggling in this 49th district, all through the 49th district. But if you look right now, Allegheny County has 7% sales tax. But what did it do for them? It hasn't showed nothing as far as I'm concerned with their 7%. But also, and Philadelphia also has 7% sales tax if you want to check into it. But presently, I would not vote on tax unless I know it was going to go to benefit the people of this 49th district.
Thank you. Did you already go?
I slide a little off. Thank you.
Sorry,
If you'd like me to
Mr.
go again, I'm
Henderson.
more
No,
than willing
no,
to.
thank you. Sorry.
I have no problem going again if you'd like me to.
No.
Okay.
We'll start with Mr. Henderson for the next question. Higher education. We have a lot of students here with us tonight. I'm never happy when I look in the newspaper and read that Pennsylvania state-related schools or state schools are on the top of the list for high tuition. What can we do for higher education to make it more affordable for our students?
Well, I think we need to look at ways, first of all, in the current budget state, we have to fund it, which would be nice, and fund your loan programs, student loan programs, so that students are getting their payments on their loans. My son's girlfriend is here tonight, and if it wasn't for my wife and I being able and having the ability to help her out with her student loan, she wouldn't be going to school. She would be out of class right now. And that would be tragic, because there's a girl who got out of high school and is going on to be a nurse, and she has not yet gotten her funding. So she's very lucky to have us, and we're lucky to have her in our lives. But certainly, we've got to look at ways at how these large institutions are spending their money. This is a beautiful campus, but there's a lot of development money in this place as opposed to money that went to education. So I think we need to look at how that plays out and whether we need to keep building buildings or whether we need to be educating students.
Thank you. Mr. Barley?
That's a top priority, all the way from elementary, all the way up to the doctorate program. Now, I don't specifically know what the law states right now, but I know this is Pennsylvania, and the public education system is a necessary item. And I would like to get in there and make it a world-renowned system, at least starting. And the first place that would have to do that would be on this topic, would be funding. Again, it's all about funding, because we're all fed up with it. From the legislators to the credit industry to everything. Because when our economy goes down, it just seems like everybody wants to get their little piece of the pie. We'll work together, but I'm going to make sure I get mine first, That's what it seems like to me. So these topics, in a crisis situation, these topics have to be looked at completely. But I'm definitely for education.
Thank you. Mr. Cook?
Education. Do you all know what you're going to do with your degree when you graduate? What job are you going to take? I want to share a story with you. When I got ready to graduate from Wesleyan, my degree was in government and psychology. And I was talking to the Marine recruiter, and it was my senior year, and I said, I might go in the Marine Corps. What does my degree mean to the Marine Corps? And he kind of hemmed around and gave me a politically correct answer, and I pressed him on it. I said, this has got to mean something to the Marine Corps. And he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, Mr. Cook, that tells us, the Marine Corps, that you're trainable. I have been in business, an entrepreneur, ever since with a psychology government degree. We have to rethink education. We have to take a look. Somewhere along the line, we lost the trades. Hire a plumber lately? Hire a heating guy? Good money, guys. So when we come into it, you're going to make a major investment into your education. How long is it going to take you to return on that investment? College is not for everyone.
Mr. Benyak, your comments on higher ed spending.
Couldn't think of anything more worthy than educating our young people, making it affordable and more accessible. I think it's something we all should strive for, to make it easier, not harder, for people to go to school to better themselves, whether it is a four-year degree or a trade school. What we need to do on a statewide level is the next representative, we need to fully fund the Pennsylvania Higher Education Agency so that there are low-interest loans out there for the students that cannot have the resources in their family just to write a check and to pay for it. And I intend to be an advocate for that, because I couldn't think of anything more worthwhile. We've had a drain of young people leaving this area now for 3 decades, 4 decades. But we need people to go to school like Cal or Waynesburg University, and hopefully that they stay here. So we don't want to make it harder. We need to make it easier. And as a state representative, I'll do everything that I can to make it more affordable and more accessible to everybody.
Mr. Garay.
I'm obviously a very strong advocate for higher education. I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for California University of Pennsylvania. I'll be graduating here with tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I'm working 2 jobs just to make ends meet right now, also in multiple leadership positions. The Pennsylvania state system has received flat funding for the past 5 years straight, including a 3% tuition increase in 2014 and a 3.5% increase in 2015. Again, this year we received flat funding because we still don't have a state budget. That is crippling our students. We're facing declining enrollment across the entire state system, and we're increasing more here at this university, and that's just unacceptable. Mr. Benyak said it correctly again. We need to make it easier for kids to go to school. We need to come up with loan forgiveness programs. That is number one focus of my, if elected and I get to Harrisburg, my number one focus will be education. Education and higher education from K to 12 and beyond. It is very important to educate our students and educate them well. I think that is something we've lost focus on in the past few years with cuts to education, and we need to get back to where we were and educate our students and get them jobs coming out.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix.
I'm all for higher education. I think these college kids today need a break. I mean, they're working jobs on the side, plus trying to go to school. It's hard for them. It's also their parents are in debt trying to get them through college. Also, they're in debt going through college with student loans. We need to look at other resources. If I was a legislature, I would push harder legislature to try to get money for these schools. Also, your casinos out there, maybe look at going to them to see if we can get some money also from them to benefit these schools. They were supposed to help benefit the property tax, but also we need them to also benefit these schools. I mean, there is LSA money out there that for other projects. So we need to look at higher education. I graduated from 2 technical schools. I didn't go to college. I have an electrical degree in 2 different schools. One is electronic technician and one is the electrician itself. And I helped me get a job in U.S. Steel, and I retired from U.S. Steel. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alterisi.
Well, this is probably the one subject I think all of us up here will agree on. Our youth truly are our future. Kind of weird for me to say that at 53. I never thought I'd be saying the youth, because I kind of feel like the old man sometimes. But it's something we really need to take more seriously and embrace our children, embrace the youth, get them good jobs here. Right now, the state budget is approximately 36% towards education. That needs to be increased. That's where the problem needs to start. We need to find a way to shift money in the budget And it's going to take a lot of work, but it's the way it has to be done, where we have to get it closer to 50% because students are coming out of here. I'm sure looking at a lot of you today, some of you are probably seniors or students here. You're thinking, I'm about ready to graduate, and you know those student loans are going to start come due, and you're nervous about it, and rightfully so, because the state has not been very helpful to this point, helping you get to the point where you are. And it's very sad that some people who could potentially do something don't get a chance to go to college because they can't afford it. And that should never be reason to hold someone back from getting higher education. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Mr. Barley. To prepare for this evening, I looked at the map of what your district looks like, and the last two times what it looks like. And first it started out kind of like that, and then it went like that, and now it sort of goes everywhere. What about doing something about gerrymandering? We have a couple of questions about that. Would legislators be more able to talk with each other if the views of all of the people who live in Pennsylvania were better reflected by having a different redistricting system every 10 years than the one we have now? Mr. Barley?
I would hope they would be able to sit down and talk with each other. My experience hasn't seen that. You know, I would only hope for that. You can't put faith into that. You have to put it into action. What I've seen, I would have to say yes to that. That we could use a different, a different criteria for that. Personally, this 49th district used to go all the way over to Ohio and down to Greene County, with south of Route 70, except for Washington, Bentleyville, Ellsworth, and Cokeburg, and it's changed in Fayette County a little bit. But now you just draw a line from New Eagle, the tip of New Eagle, down to Mariana, so that's about 20% of what it used to be. So something's up. We had our two representatives from the area; they retired. There's a couple actions that you'll see on the ballot, and there's a couple possible actions that's going to happen in the fall that lead to that. Anyway, thank you.
Mr. Cook?
First, you start by cutting the legislature in half. I'm a little ahead of the curve most of the time, so we appreciate it. So let's cut it by half. Now, you're not just cutting legislatures. You're cutting staff, you're cutting per diems, you're cutting all the expenses. Live within your means. Let's start there. 2, get the politicians out of it. Both sides. I'm tired of the two-party system on both sides. You got to go one way or the other. Get the citizens involved in it. Get it regional. Right now, the 49th goes all the way over to Fayette County into Jefferson, Franklin, and Washington Township. And then you have Knoll, Fayette City, and Bell Vernon. Over in that area, that's John Deere tractor land, guys. I mean, I'm at home there. Great. But then we have the slots that comes up through the valley from West Brownsville all the way up to New Eagle. And that's a totally different set of issues, concerns, and needs. So yes, we need to take a look at it and do it structurally, regionally, where there's interest within that, but you cut the size of the legislature. In today's ability to communicate and use the tools that are out there, there's absolutely no reason to be living in Harrisburg as a representative.
Thank you. Mr. Benyak?
Certainly, the 49th district was gerrymandered, but not for why you think. It's actually a better district than it was before, because it's more cohesive, and actually the people are like-minded, whether it's in Fayette County or also in the Mon Valley. So it is actually a little bit better, and it's logistically easier to cover. It was gerrymandered to get rid of the McGuffey School District, to put that in there over on the western part of the county, so there would be a Republican elected for state legislature, and it is exactly what happened. What do I support? A bipartisan commission appointed to prevent stuff like this from happening again. While it's favored this district, it certainly was done at a penalty for the western part of Washington County. So I feel a commission needs to be appointed to look at this, take the politics out of these, so it makes some sense logically. how the lines are drawn, and everyone is represented equally. And you're not looking at computers or diagrams because the schematics of this, so you can tilt it one way or the other just by a few votes.
Mr. Garay.
You know, it was pretty entertaining during the petitioning process, trying to get petitions signed and asking people if they live in our district and trying to answer the question on where our district is. Just try to begin to describe where our district goes. It's pretty entertaining. And on second to that, if you look at our congressional district for the U.S. House, it's very entertaining. You should check it out. It goes from almost half the state width. I think we need to get the legislator out of redistricting. The voters should choose their legislator. The legislator shouldn't choose their voters. That's not how it should be. I think we need to get a citizen committee board in and redistrict these areas. They're gerrymandered way too much, and it's every single district. It's not just one here and there. It's every single district, from local House seats to state House seat to U.S. House seats. I think that's something we need to look at, and that is one thing I will focus on because we are in the middle of our two censuses here. So I think that's something we need to focus on heavily.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix.
I think we need a stronger areas. Our areas, we're very too big right now. We need to concentrate on certain areas. Fayette County is totally different than the Mon Valley. I mean, they all have their own reasons. I think the legislation needs to be changed. I mean, as far as covering all this area, there's a whole lot of area to cover. I mean, just everybody has their different problems, but we all have blighted areas all through the area. So I think we need to just concentrate on what we have going on right now.
Mr. Alterisi.
Got me, thank you. Frankly, it's a mess. It is a complete and utter mess. When I first considered running for this position, I wanted to make sure, because of all the changes that have been done, I actually went online to Google it and check, and the state had 2 different districts set up because they didn't even have it right. It showed still the Claysville district on one of the things I looked at. The map is too hard to read. It's absolutely ridiculous. It should never have gotten to this point. And I'm going to wholeheartedly agree with something with Mr. Cook. Maybe he was reading my mind a little bit, that we do have way too many legislators. It is entirely out of control. I believe we are the second most in the country, which should never be. And I will tell you here, if given the opportunity to reduce that, I would vote in favor of it, including if it involved me losing my position, because I'm not here for the job just to draw a paycheck. I'm here for the 49th district. You know, that as long as it involves protecting the citizens of this district and protecting the state, but we need to lower that amount. We keep talking about taxes. Well, there's a good way for you to take care of taxes. Drop the number of legislators you have and look at the money you're going to save right there. It's a very simple solution. The problem is someone needs to have the guts to do it.
Mr. Henderson.
Well, whatever candidate you're for, since they all said the same thing, I agree with them. So I just think that I was the first one to mention it tonight. Gerrymandering these districts has caused us to have the gridlock we have in Harrisburg. We do needed to get it so that people are competing for their jobs. Fortunately for us in this district, apparently everybody wants this job, so we've got a lot of competition. So I'm happy to get out and state my case. And this district is, I do disagree that it's better. I think it's a little crazy right now if you have to run out and drive it. And if somebody were to build a bridge from Allenport to Fayette City, it would be great. It would be a great district. But getting out to it all. Swimming's easy. Swimming's easy. In the summer, that would have been an option. But, you know, I agree that we need to take it out of, we need to have a bipartisan commission looking at how we redistrict in the future and get it out of, so we quit getting these safe districts for whoever happens to be in the party of power at the time. So.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Mr. Cook. This questioner asks, how important is civility in politics? And what guidelines do you follow related to campaign behavior?
You always try to run an above-board campaign, and you try to be positive. You try to address the issues. The one thing that we can absolutely agree on in our district are our problems. We have a drug epidemic, whether we want to admit it or not. We have a blight issue, whether we want to admit it or not. And the most important thing, we have not had jobs for quite a while. So if you want to be civil about the discussion, you don't attack the person, you attack the problem. And as long as all of us up here on this stage focus on those problems, which is what we should, as representatives, be doing, there is no conflict. Now, when we diverge from that and we take personal, individual attacks, you bet you I'm going to come out fighting. Because you know what? In this district, they like fighters and they like winners. You ever been to a Steeler game where somebody messes up? It's like being at the Coliseum in Rome. Doesn't make any difference.
Mr. Benyak.
Civility is important in the campaign, and I think it has been rather civil. I think you have a lot of strong personalities that are running for this office, and I think there is going to be certainly a tension and also a little bit of bitterness during this course, and I think that's just natural. I think you have everyone up here well-intended, and their hearts are in it for the right reason, and they really do want to go to Harrisburg and do a good job. Unfortunately, all the middle-of-the-road moderate candidates have been pushed out. You've seen that in this election where you've had House incumbents decide they're not going to run because of the extreme animosity in Harrisburg. I'm a middle-of-the-road guy. I'm a moderate, and, I'm bucking the system here because I'm not an extremist one way or the other. But I think everyone up here has their hearts and their heads in it for all the right reasons, and I think there is a lot of good candidates up here for everyone to choose from. And I think we are because of the personalities involved, and it's a local race. You are going to have some pecking at each other, and I think that's just natural, and you're never going to do away with that. And I hope it continues to be a good discussion as we move forward in the next 33 days.
Thank you. Mr. Garay.
This university here, California University of Pennsylvania, has 3 core values: civility, responsibility, and integrity. Those are 3 core values that are hammered into our heads here at this university, that we follow those. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the gentleman up on the stage. We all have the best intentions for this district. I think that running a clean campaign is a good campaign. I have nothing against any single person up here. I am trying to change the status quo in Harrisburg, and I think we all think we're the best candidate to do that for different reasons, and I don't think that's a reason to argue with each other or just because we disagree with something. That's politics. We're not all going to see eye to eye with something, and that doesn't mean we can't. It goes back to the state budget. It doesn't mean we can't sit down on a table and come to an agreement on something.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix.
I think I always ran on a straight platform. I've been running for 18 years. I've been involved in politics. I've been councilman for 12 years and mayor for 8 years. I've always had a platform to run on. I mean, as far as you look at Monongahela and what it was before I became mayor and what it is now, I mean, and I want to take it to Harrisburg as far as it goes, as far as the leadership, and I want to continue having a good campaign here. I brought a lot of issues that are common to everybody out here, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Mr. Alterisi.
Thank you very much. To me, this is a very simple thing that you learn as a core value growing up. My father always taught me to be respectful to other people, and they'll be respectful to you. And everyone on this stage has been very, very respectful to each other, and that's the way it should be. Isn't that where the problem starts, where we're having in Harrisburg right now? Because they're not being that way with each other. And these are the kind of things we need to avoid. You need to show respect to each other. It's okay to disagree. That's part of politics. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But it's do it in a civil manner. At the end of the day, you should be able to sit down and still talk and have no animosity and no hatred towards each other. It should all be about what's good for the 49th district, because quite frankly, that's the reason we're all here, for the good of this entire district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson.
Yes, I have to agree. Certainly civility is one thing, but I hope everybody will get informed about the candidates who are up here. It's not hard to do. It's 2016. You can find out about all of our history just by Google searching any of us and find out what we've been involved in and what we've been doing our whole life. So, you can find out a lot and read about us, find out about us. We all have websites. Most of us do, I think, anyway. You can find out about what we've been involved in and why we think we're qualified. So as far as issues and civility, absolutely. But I hope that people will take the time to get educated and informed on who the candidates are and what they are all about and what their life, if they don't have a history as a public servant, like several of us up here do, then you have to look into what they've done in their life service. So look up the people, find out about them, get informed and educated. When we're on this beautiful college campus, it's all about education. I hope the voters will take the opportunity to get informed and educated on the candidates as well.
Thank you. Mr. Barley.
Thank you. We're back to civic duty. Thank you. If I were to be blessed with a position like this, I would have to realize that whatever you want me to do, that's what I'm going to do. If I disagree with that, well, we'll have to sit and talk about it. There's a lot of seniors in our area. There's a lot of young in our area. There's a lot of topics. But there came a time in my life, this is the 8th time that I'm running for this office. And I've been a Democratic committee man for 16 years. So in this process, just by keeping one's mouth shut and listening, you'd be surprised what is told to you about our system. And you'd be surprised what direction you're pointed in. I don't mean pointed in, but they just are so, they've shown me so many things just by me keeping my mouth shut. Now, but the point that I'm getting at is, there came a time that I said to myself, wow, and I do my own petitioning. All these years I've knocked on these houses all myself. It's a one-man job, believe me. There came a time that I said to myself, hey, wait a minute. My instincts correspond with the people that I'm talking to. So then I found out what it really meant to be an elected official. I said, because if my instincts didn't correspond to that, I would have no business running for office.
Time's up, Mr. Barley.
Sorry about
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. Okay, we've done a whole round. Now we'll start with Mr. Benyak again for the next question. Several questioners brought this issue up. Much of Pennsylvania's highway and bridge maintenance budget is being diverted to pay for state police services for municipalities that don't fund their own police departments. What would you do, if anything, to remedy this?
Actually, today, it's 1,287 municipalities are benefiting from the state police. And it's a burden because the other communities that actually pay and suck it up and part of their budget really don't get that benefit that everyone else is. And you have some very wealthy communities that have chosen to do that have the ability financially to support their own police department. Hempfield Township in Westmoreland County is certainly one of them. Somerset Township in Somerset, very wealthy area, very large populations, and they're choosing not to do this. But you look at our communities in particular in the 49th District that have the local police departments and are struggling to fund them, it comes out to about $165 a head. That's about what it is. I'm just guessing. That's my math. That's not anyone else's math. That's me looking at this particular issue. It is about fairness. It is about equality. It's about everyone pulling their weight, and it has to be addressed right now. You have West Pike Run Township. There's a supervisor here. They have the ability to have a police department, and they're funding it, and they found a way to do it. So everyone else should be paying their share. I would be all in favor of legislating where there would be a tax based on the head count for your municipality. You have 40,000 people in Hempfield Township, multiply it by $165. They need to be paying that back to the state.
Thank you. Mr. Garay.
I would have to agree on some points. Local police is the heart and soul of our communities. They keep us safe. They have the quick responses that we see from time and time again, especially in this college area that I see so often, them sacrificing the things that they do. I would be open to discussing how we can get equality across our entire district so each community can have the benefit of a local police department, and open to discussion with different ways to do so. And I think that goes back to working with my counterparts to figure out a plan and how we can do this for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Kepix.
I'm fortunate we have we're contracted to two other boroughs, Newaygo Borough and Finleyville Borough also are part of Monongahela Police Department that we patrol 24 hours a day. And I understand how hard it is with the budget that we have with that. So I can imagine, it's unfair to people that have to have state police coming in. They're not getting full coverage because you may wait 2 hours for a state cop to come because their call list is so long, and they're down in manpower as it is. So it's not fair to the municipalities that depend on the state police. I feel that there has to be some kind of money, like the rest of these guys are saying, as far as tax, as far as head tax, or some kind of tax that they have to pay back either the state or pay the state police one way or the other.
Thank you. Mr. Alterisi?
Well, this is an issue that's kind of near and dear to my heart. When I was president of council, I was very fortunate. I had a council and a mayor working with us that saw the long term, and we need to regionalize our police department. And we saw the importance of it, because if Shawry would have stayed to where we would have been in a position we would have had to rely on state police coverage, which is not fair to the citizens of the community. Any community that's not paying should pay their fair share, absolutely. We have a neighboring community, Fallowfield, that does not have a police department. Yes, they rely on state police, but there's many times that our Shawry police respond, or Greater Regional Shawry Police Department, respond because they can be there before the state police. Are they paying for it? No, but we're not going to leave the citizens abandoned. This is something that needs to be addressed, and Mr. Benyak is right. Communities like Hempfield Township have been getting a free ride for way too long. They need to pay their fair share. It's the only proper way to protect the citizens of the district.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
Yeah, and I too have been on, actually I've been on two sides of this issue. One, I was a borough manager when Charleroi did regionalize and went through that process at the borough of Charleroi, which is was a great thing for them to do to sustain their police department. I've been on the other side in Fallowfield, where two of my three people where I served on the board decided they got mad at a couple people and they did away with the police department. And I fought vehemently to keep that police department because it's basically total insanity to not have a local police department. I will say this, I don't think we should force or make people pay for police protection that have decided not to do that. I think we should incentivize them to regionalize with local departments. We should work with them to develop whatever. The community obviously has not, that is a community issue. And the people of the community should decide whether they want police protection on a local level or not. So that is a community issue. I'm not going to force that down some community's throat that has decided they don't want community protection. Now, may they have to pay a percentage for it? I think there's some adequate way to make them pay for some percentage. But I don't think a full-fledged tax on them. I think we should incentivize and encourage them to get their own police or regionalize or come up with another option.
Mr. Barley?
Thank you. This is, I think that the state police, there's been an undue burden placed on them because of our economic crisis that we're in. As I've seen this, I was on council in the 80s for 2 terms in Cole Center, and I saw right around then we were still getting monies from industry and et cetera. Okay, now it's the total new ball game. Now we're waiting on somebody to give us money, whether it's going to be the state, whether it's going to be gambling, whether it's going to be this or that. The state police, they are really stretched out. I'm a firm believer in that because of a trooper by the name of Corporal Picorni. That was the state police trooper that got shot in, I think it was Bridgeville. This is a good 10 or 12 years ago. And I remember that. This is whenever I realized this. Technology, we went to solve the problem. Technology was going to do this, so this is hitting on that. He called his dispatcher, and 7 seconds later he was dead. So in other words, he called for backup. So we back to funding. Very crucial issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
Part of our plan calls for accountability and efficiency. Now, like Mark, I never thought I'd be saying the younger guys, but I am old enough to remember the consolidation of Ringgold, Bentworth, Best Center. Those consolidations were not without a lot of pain. So now we find ourselves with the municipalities all over the district that have begun already to consolidate different police departments, other services, things like that. We need to quit doing business like it's 1980 and fast forward and say, how are we going to do business in 2020? We can't afford it anymore. We have to look at alternative ideas, whether that's consolidation, whether it's to move to a county police department. There are different alternatives that we need to explore in the interest of efficiency and affordability.
Thank you. Mr. Garay, you'll be the first responder on the next question. And this is a rather philosophical question, but I think it's a very valid one. Only in Lake Wobegon are all the children above average. Many of the people hurting the most in this economy didn't and may not do well in academic settings. They used to be able to put together a good life through hard work. What hope do you give for these in this economy?
Well, I think anyone that is willing to put in the work should be able to make a living. I think that goes back to, makes me think about the minimum wage increase. I think that everyone that's willing to put in work should be get a living wage. The $7.25 an hour minimum wage right now is not a living wage. I know what that's like to live $7.25 an hour, and it's not easy. I think I can attest to the fact that hard work pays off. You put your mind to something, you can get there. I never thought I'd be sitting on the stage here today. So I think that's something that I can personally attest to, that you put your mind to it, you put in the hard work. It's not easy to get here, and you will be rewarded.
Thank you. Mr. Kipix.
I also agree the $7 wage is hard to live on, but hard work is out there. I mean, if people want to work, there is work out there if you look for it, but I think trades is the big thing today. If people get involved in trades, there's a lot of people looking for plumbers, electricians. I mean, the mills, that's what brought a lot of us here was the mills and the mines. But the mines are gone, but the mills are still here. But I would like to concentrate on manufacturing and that. And if I was brought in as a legislature where you can bring jobs in and people as a good paying job as maybe manufacturing.
Thank you. Mr. Altieri.
You're getting it. Thank you. The hard work should pay off for you, and everyone should be given the opportunity, to do, if they work hard, to achieve the goals. They should not be held back because of social or economic conditions. That should not keep them from getting to where they need to be. So truly, they need to get a chance. If people are given a chance to reach their full potential, we need to really, when it comes to education, though, focus more on the math and the science for the kids in our area, for better long-term jobs and to get us in the global markets. We're missing the boat on that right now. And if the hard work is applied, these people need to be given a fair opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
The value of work is taught at home, and that's where we have to start teaching it. And I think I am living the example of that with my son who's here tonight. Ryan went to trade school and decided to just be a laborer. I have no shame in that. I'm very proud of him. At 21, he bought his own home. My wife, who's here, who worked hard from a secretary, is now working at a bank in Pittsburgh and has done very well working her way up. Ryan saw me work 2 jobs most of my life to make a living. And so we've lived the work ethic dream, and we taught our son how to do it. I'm proud that he's trying to start a lawn cutting business on the side so he can make some more money and do better and fix his house up even more than we've been able to. So I think that all you have to do is teach people and have communities that prioritize work as the core value of the community. I'm all for making communities better places to live, which would help us do that. So we need to make our communities better places to live and teach our children the value of work and work ethic.
Thank you. Mr. Barley?
Well, I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for a work ethic. What I was thinking about was a few campaign promises that I've heard in the past, and I think this is getting back to opportunity, be it higher education, be it trade, be it employment. We have to bring these jobs here. There was an incumbent before, I think it was the current office holder campaigned on a technical college, not just a vo-tech school, but a technical college. As I understand it, it didn't get a chance to come here, but that's still an issue that I would like to go pursue right here for this district, So what we're talking about is really being educated, you know? I've read articles about there's going to be a gap where that work ethic is gone. You know, I hope I don't see that, but if it wasn't for the work ethic that my parents gave me, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cook.
Here's going to be one of those need to hear as opposed to want to hear. What good is a work ethic if you've got no place to work? That's a hard question, okay? Now, let me tell you back to our failure of leadership. One time I was hiring a driver. 60 people showed up for the job. One guy showed up. He set his lunchbox down on my desk as I was doing the interview. When can you go to work? Today. Back at the beginning of the year, we reached out and started to put together an economic team in order to bring real jobs into the valley. It's in the form of what's called an inland international port. You'll see more on it later. We've already been to 3 sites up and down along the valley. Okay? Unfortunately, our leadership does not know how to bring real jobs to this district and hasn't since 2005. That has to change, okay? Because no matter how good your work ethic is, if there's no jobs, it doesn't make any difference. And quite frankly, I'm tired of our biggest import being our youngest and our brightest out of this district. It's going to stop.
Thank you. Mr. Benyak.
I'm very fortunate that I got to go to college and to law school, and a lot of it was, and I say it to people, I got to go to college and law school because of Wheeling Pittsburgh Steel and the contract that was negotiated by the United Steelworkers. And when I'm in Allenport, I point to that mill and say, that mill put me through college and put me through law school. But I understand that everybody can't go to college or be a nurse or be a teacher, but we need family-sustaining jobs where you can literally buy a house and also buy a car. And the minimum wage, if you look at it historically, if you look at the words of President Roosevelt, really was to be a sustaining wage. Getting beyond the philosophy of the question and getting to bricks and mortar, as the next representative, one thing I intend to do is tirelessly work for the Community College of Allegheny County to locate a campus in Donora Borough on the campus of 12 acres of Donora Elementary, where they can train our young people that don't want to go to college but want to learn trades that will benefit them with our gas and oil industry. That's what I'm going to do day one to get that community college right into this district.
Thank you. We're going to turn to final closing statements now, but before we do that, I want to thank the candidates for coming and participating in this lively exchange of views. I want to thank the Cal TV for filming it. Thanks to the audience for sitting here. And I want to remind you to vote on April 26th. So we'll start with Mr. Kepix. And this is a final statement.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Yeah, my final statement is that I want to take leadership to Harrisburg. I have the capability to do that. I've been councilman for 10 years. Like I said, mayor for 8 years. I have a lot of leadership. I brought it from city of Monongahela, and my dad was a councilman for 40 years in New Eagle. I learned from him. I want to carry it on to Harrisburg and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Mr. Altarisi.
Got it. First of all, thank you all for coming. As I stated in my opening statement, it's great to see a crowd like this here. I'm hoping, as some other candidates have said, look into our backgrounds. It's true. This is like a job interview. So it's not just what we're saying here or what we're saying on the campaign trail. Look into what we've all done, whether it be in our private life, in our public life, whether it be business-wise, when I say private, what we're involved with, how we're involved in the community. Fortunately, some of us have had more chance because of age to be that, so don't hold that against anyone younger up here. I'm going to stress that. I'm trying to help you out here. I don't want to go after, I don't want to make it sound like age, because you know what, you're young, but I'm glad to see you here is what I'm getting at. So I'm trying to give you a compliment. I hope it came out right. What I'm saying is we're all here to serve the community. We're all here for the right reason. We want to serve the people of the 49th District. I personally feel that I feel that things I've done over the years put me in a very good position in a leadership role where I'm willing to work with people in Harrisburg, work to get us to the point, work to get us the jobs we need here, and work so we communicate together and help keep our youth here. We need to focus on our youth, focus on our education, and yes, get the jobs coming back. So thank you and appreciate your consideration on April 26th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson.
At the top of my platform, yes, thank you very much for coming. I almost forgot that. And at the top of my platform is I'm going to be a full-time representative for you. You know, the average household income in this district is $30-some thousand a year, and your legislators make $85,000. I think you should demand that it's their one and only job. It is not a side job for them. It's not part-time. It should be their one and only job. That's first and foremost on my platform, as well as funding education and working for the people of this district. So I also want to hope that you'll go to my website, donhenderson.com, or my Facebook page, or any of my other social media to find out more about all the people that are supporting me, the mayor of Denora, the mayor of Bentleyville, several council presidents. Dennis Martinak is here, council president from Allenport tonight, as one of my supporters. And I hope you'll find out who all is on my team and supporting, not because we are beer drinking buddies, which although Dennis and I have had a beer together, we are people that have worked with me on efforts throughout this valley that we feel are meaningful and worthwhile. And I also, tonight with me is my dad, who is not blood, although he's been my dad for 45 years. And my stepdad took on my mother once my dad died. And I can only try to be, with 5 children she had from 5 to 15, I can only try to be half the man my stepfather's been to me.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barley.
I want to again thank everyone for this opportunity, for everybody showing up here. I would have to say the top 4 issues are family, law enforcement, health, and education. Under family comes prosperous businesses and employment. And naturally, the funding is the foundation for all of this. Can't make any promises, with the exception of one, that I will be a 24/7, 365 representative. You have my word on that. Now, as it stands, it's about 1.5 to 1 in the Senate and in the legislature. In other words, 1.5 Republicans for every Democrat. And coming up in the fall, there's a possibility that they're going to do away with 62 positions, as I understand it from the website. So whenever I first saw that, I thought, well, it must be true because 2 local legislators got out. So I don't know. So it looks like it's going to be a fight, you know. And it's always nice to know, you know, what they're going to do, who you're dealing with, etc. You guys and gals know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I want to thank you again. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Cook.
I want to thank everybody as well, especially my former scout master, Dawn's dad. Appreciate it. Taught me a lot. There's one rule in politics when you're campaigning. It's how did you make that person feel as opposed to what they heard you say. There are a lot of nice people up here, and I've always said nice even about my opponent, nice person. This is not Dancing with the Stars, guys. This is not a popularity contest. This is about choosing the right person to address the problems of this district specifically and Harrisburg State. I really encourage you to go and visit votebudcook.com. We started at the beginning of the year, not 2016, 2015, a month after the last election, assembling a team to address the problems. It has township supervisors, mayors, teachers, superintendents, business people. It's over 100 strong right now. I built teams to address problems. and we come up, and in my view, in my approach, a problem is an opportunity in disguise. The valley, the district, does not need to be like this. It offends me that it's like this. I've been through other experiences and other locations. It does not need to be this. So how do I want to make you feel? I want you to feel fed up. We have a reputation in Washington of being difficult to get along with, and we intend to continue that
Thank
because
you.
we need to demand more.
Thank you very much. Mr. Benyak.
This is a great district, and I'm very optimistic about our future in the Mon Valley and in Fayette County, and I want to see things in a positive manner, not a negative manner. I see our future as very, very bright. After 30 years of decline, I intend to go to Harrisburg to represent working people, senior citizens, and veterans. I say that even though I'm a veteran, Bracken Burns, you're a veteran, but that's what I want to do, and that's my promise to do, is represent those people. There's already enough people in Harrisburg representing big businesses and corporations. And on Judgment Day, my personal Judgment Day, do you really want to be up there and say, who did you really represent in Harrisburg? Did you represent the corporation, or did you try to help the poor people or the working people? Well, I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be representing working people and people that really need a public servant. That's what I intend to be, a public servant. Property tax reform is very important to me. Addressing the opiate epidemic that has affected this district, every family, every community needs to be addressed. And blight, which has decimated our communities, demoralized them, dehumanized them, and where we have people that are just walking away from their houses, whether it's in Mariana or Charleroi or Denora, this has to be addressed. And I intend to do it from day one. I don't need on-the-job training. I'm a lawyer. I know how to legislate because I read laws every day long. So that's what I intend to do. My job will be to be a servant to the 49th District. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garay.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today. Some of us had a longer commute than others, so I do appreciate everyone showing up. It's been a great night. This campaign has been challenging, overwhelming at times, but most of all rewarding. I don't have any large backers. I don't have any big fundraisers behind me, so I'm relying on the grassroots efforts, the small donations from close friends and families, and that means so much to me because these are the people that are giving me what they can. They're investing in someone that they know, that they trust. They aren't trying to buy the legislature, which we've been seeing so often. For those of us that read those the House roll call votes that you can see online after each session, you will always see a green vote next to mine for the House roll call. You'll never see that red no, absent, that we've been seeing for so long. That's one of the things that irritate me so much. This is a full-time job, and I will treat it as such. I believe I'm the fresh face that the House floor needs to shake up the status quo that we've been dealing with so long. We've been electing the same people we know, the popularity contest for so long, and that has gotten us nowhere. I think it's time for a change, and I believe that I am the best candidate to do so. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. How about a hand for all the candidates now? Thank you for coming, and don't forget to vote.